Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of CCK Live. My name is Christian McTarnigan, and today I'm joined by Kevin Medeiros, and we're going to be talking about a specific case where CCK was able to help a veteran out, both at the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, so the court, which is where Kevin and I practice, and was able to help that client out at the VA level, the agency level. So I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about what the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims is. So it's also referred to as the CAVC. This is a veterans practice. There are a lot of acronyms. So it's a federal court that's located in Washington, D.C., that is specifically dedicated to adjudicating the appeals of claimants who haven't been successful in getting, what they wanted from the VA, mostly disability benefits. So they've been denied by the Board of Veterans Appeals. So the Board of Veterans Appeals is the last adjudicative body at the VA. It's the highest level of agency VA adjudication. If you lose at the board, or if the board does something that you don't like, you have the right to appeal to court, to the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. That court reviews the board's decision. It reviews what VA did in your case and ultimately decides the issue. So it will do one of a few things. The court will either find that the VA didn't do anything wrong and do what's called affirm the board's decision, or the court can vacate and remand the board's decision, which basically means it erases the errors in the decision, sends the case back down to the board for the board to issue a new decision that's compliant with the law. So a remand is a very favorable result at the court level. We consider that a win. In rare circumstances, the court will actually grant benefits and outright reverse the board's denial. That happens in very few cases, but it's just something that I like to mention so people are aware of it. So here at CCK, we have a lot of skilled attorneys and advocates that handle a wide range of VA cases, both before the agency, like I was talking about before, and at the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. So these advocates are qualified to assist veterans and claimants with appeals at any stage and follow the case throughout the agency as well as at the court. Another thing that I always like to mention when I'm talking about the CAVC is that the record is closed. So at VA, you have certain opportunities to submit new evidence and things like that. You don't have that opportunity at the court. Once you get to court, basically your record is comprised of everything that the board had at the time it made its decision. And that's what Kevin and I can use when we're making our case. Those are the facts we can use to make our case to the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. So that's a little bit of an overview of what the CAVC is, a little bit of an overview of what CCK does. And now we're going to talk about that specific case that I alluded to at the beginning. Kevin, you want to get into the facts a little bit about this veteran we were able to help at the court?
Yeah, so the veteran's case that we're going to be talking about today, he's now 86 years old. He served on active duty in the United States Army from 1954 to 1957. And, he has a back disability due to his Army service. And he was granted a 20% rating for the lumbar spine disability when he separated from service. So over the years, his back condition continued to worsen, and he first sought CCK's assistance in 2012 after a board decision denied him entitlement to separate ratings for his back disability. So when veterans have lumbar spine disabilities that cause neurological issues, the VA is supposed to separately rate them in most cases. In this veteran's case, the board failed to assign separate ratings for the neurological abnormalities associated with the veteran's back condition, which is what we argued to the court. And at that time, the VA attorney agreed with CCK at the pre-briefing stage, so before filing formal briefs with the court and letting a judge decide the case. And the parties, CCK and the VA attorney, entered into what's called a joint motion for remand, which, as Christian alluded to, is the legal vehicle by which these cases get sent back to the board to correct what it did wrong and issue a new decision that complies with the law. So after the case was sent back to the board, the veteran actually reached out to CCK a second time because the board again denied him separate compensation for his neurological abnormalities. And this time, CCK and the VA attorney could not reach an agreement at the pre-briefing stage, and so filed formal briefs with the court and went to a judge for a decision, who agreed with CCK's position and arguments that the board made additional legal errors this time in denying the separate ratings when it did so without a medical examination that actually could inform it of the issue and whether the neurological abnormalities were related to the veteran's back condition. So 2 trips up to court for this veteran and 2 successful outcomes, getting the case back to the board for reconsideration.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is something that happens, pretty frequently. It's not only, and unfortunately, that one trip to the court is going to resolve the issue. I mean, you have the perfect example of this case. We were able to resolve it with VA the first time, but then we had to go all the way to the court the second time, and luckily we were able to be successful in both. But this veteran story in CCK, it doesn't end there. So we were able to help the veteran out in court, and like Kevin said, we were able to get the case from the court back down to the board. And then this veteran chose to hire CCK's agency team to help him with his claims in 2015, which included entitlement to TDIU. So TDIU is a benefit that you get paid at the 100% rating because your service-connected disabilities keep you from performing what they refer to as substantially gainful employment. They keep you from working. So we were partially successful at VA, and the way that I sort of like to think about this is you kind of get one win at a time on your journey to getting everything that the particular veteran deserves. So a September board decision granted TDIU for a particular time period, but it sent an earlier time period back for referral for the Director of Compensation and Pension. And so just very quickly what that is there's a certain level of disability that you need to have for the board to be able to grant TDIU outright in its decision. If you don't have that particular percentage, there's a rule that says the case needs to go to the Director of Compensation and Pension because you'll be under 4.16B. And so that's what we were able to do at the agency. We had that particular part granted, and we had a particular part sent back down to the local regional office. But this veteran story didn't end there.
Right, like Christian said, sometimes it takes multiple trips to the court to get veterans and their survivors all the benefits that they're entitled to. So in this case, once after the TDIU issue was referred to the director and the director did not grant the benefit, the case went back to the board, who also denied TDIU for the earlier time period. So CCK appealed the board's denial, arguing that the board had misapplied the law in a variety of different ways when it denied the entitlement to TDIU for that earlier time period. And like the first appeal, the parties were able to agree that the board did make those legal errors at the pre-briefing stage and entered into a joint motion for remand to send the case back to the board to reconsider its decision and issue a new legally compliant one. And this, at that point, when the case went back from the board, like it does in a lot of cases where the veteran works with CCK's agency team, our agency team took it over from there and was able to submit additional evidence and arguments in support of his entitlement to TDIU for the earlier time period, and the VA did grant him the benefits back to the earliest date that we could legally identify as possible. And so the veteran was in receipt of the 100% rating based on his unemployability for the whole available time period. Another issue in this case that we identified at the agency level was a reduction in the veteran's benefits way back in 2001 that did not comply with the law. And in this case, CCK was able to get that reduction of the veteran's low back condition rating from 60%, I believe it was down to 20%, reversed based on clear and unmistakable error, which is a very rare type of error. It might be asserted a lot, but it's rare that the VA will agree that it itself made a clear and unmistakable error in a previous final decision. So this was another outcome for the veteran, that he was able to get some his benefits restored from way back in 2001 that had been reduced.
Absolutely, it's a long haul, but this is definitely a great story and a really awesome example of how CCK helps veterans get the compensation that they deserve. This was a long haul. This was a 10-year battle with the VA. Multiple attorneys worked on it at the court team, multiple advocates worked on it at the agency team. And that's sort of the coordinated effort that we have here at CCK. We have experts at the VA level, we have experts at the court level, and we work together at both the court and the VA level to try to fight and just win those incremental steps in trying to get our veteran clients what they deserve. And these are, like you said, Kevin, I mean, we have experts in these particular really complicated areas of the law. TDIU under 4.16b, that when it's referred to the director, like I was talking about before, those are hard cases to win. Restoration based on Q, clear and unmistakable error, as you said, those cases are really hard to win, and they very rarely are resolved in that quick manner. So CCK's expertise and the way that we work as a team and collaborate, I like to think is why we can get our clients these types of benefits granted, despite how long, unfortunately, it can take some time. So thanks for tuning in. I hope that hope you found this conversation and this discussion interesting. And please be on the lookout for more CCK case summaries. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any additional content.